Welcome into another fun-filled episode of Locked On 76ers. He's Keith Pompey, your 76ers beat writer. I'm Marc Farzetta. I've been talking sports with you for damn near 20 years now in the city of brotherly love. Keith, Tyrese Maxey, very forthcoming with his comments yesterday during his media session about what this Sixers team does so well. We'll break it all down and more, and why Tyrese Maxey is exactly right. Again, all that and more on this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Keith, I listened to the 5-6 minute press conference that Tyrese Maxey did yesterday in Camden, and I'll hear a question, and a lot of times I'll, of course, hear your questions, and we'll get to yours in a second, but a lot of times I'll hear these questions, and just I'll have a blip of an answer run through my head, like what I want to hear from Tyrese Maxey, and way more often than not yesterday, I'll just say, everything I would like, oh, I hope he talks about this. Bang, he talked about it. And it felt like if a lot of fans are thinking that same way, then the Sixers and the fans, for the first time in a long time, might also be on the same page, and not just the 76ers in their locker room, at this practice facility in Camden, in the coach's room and all that. Everybody might be getting on the same page. And one of the number one things he talked about was team speed. Asked about the guards, including Quentin Grimes, including Jared McCain when he's out there, but VJ Edgecombe being able to get it into high gear as well. One of the things the Sixers are going to do, I still think phenomenally well this year, is play in transition, going, getting that defensive rebound, and then pushing, whether it's Dembona getting in and kicking it out, Tyrese Maxey finding a ball, whatever it might be. This is going to be a very fast, very speedy team, and I think that's going to be one of their greatest strengths this year, and that's something that is unique to Sixers teams of recent history.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to be fast, but I also think that, they're looking at it and saying to themselves, like, okay, if Joel Embiid and Paul George aren't able to go to the level that we can go, and let's just say, even if they do go, like, who right now is our most consistent player? Who's going to play the most games? And they're looking at Tyrese Maxey, and that's what they're going to do. So basically, they say, we're going to build our team around him. Tyrese Maxey is a quick guard. He might be one of the fastest guards in the league. I mean, he is one of the fastest. I don't know where he ranks at. But then you look at VJ Edgecombe, another quick guy. Jared McCain. He's shown that he proved that he's a little bit more athletic than people think he is. And you got Quentin Grimes who can trail and knock down threes. So right now, I honestly believe that heading into the season, they feel like that this is, with the roster they have, this is their best bet, and to stay in the mix against teams who probably are going to be much more talented than they are on any given night.
We talked yesterday about most likely PG missing the first 4 or 5 games of the season, a week and a half, whatever it might be, which is fine. If you would have told me that at the time he had the surgery, I would take that. I think most people would. But when he does come back in the starting lineup, and you do have Paul George, and you do have Joel Embiid, what do you think the rest of it looks like? Not just in terms of personnel, but also style of play.
I think they're going to switch it up. I do. I think that when Embiid plays, they're going to play a certain way. And when Embiid doesn't play, they're going to get out and go. And especially for Paul George, I think with Paul George is going to be more on the lines of what Embiid is doing, right? Where not to say that it's going to be as slow as it was in the past, but at the same time, is you're not going to get out and go like you are. Like, prime example, when we were looking at the final preseason game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, like when Embiid came out of the game, they got out and they were going. It was a much quicker pace, right? And don't get me wrong, like, he showed some good things, but when he was out of the game, it was like, boom, it turned into a track meet. So I feel like what we're going to see is we're going to see a Sixers team. We're going to see a Sixers team that, like, on certain nights, They're going to, play with Embiid a little bit more deliberate. Paul George doing certain things. But when they're not going, we're going to see a faster team quicker. And to be honest with you, Mark, I think in a way that benefits them a little bit, because depending on who they're going to play, in the playoffs or on certain nights, it's I'm talking about opposing teams. It's like you have two distinct styles of play to where you can create matchup problems for certain teams.
Mm-hmm. And also, that's one of the things I really liked hearing from Tyrese Maxey as well yesterday, because one of the things I love about this team is they look like a team that could be very versatile. Now, I mentioned, I think one thing that we can hang our hat on all season, with health hopefully being on the Sixers side with the guards, you're talking about how fast they can play. That's a consistent style that I think Tyrese Maxey was kind of hinting at on media day when he said, we got to have one brand of basketball that people know they're going to show up and they're going to see the 76ers play this way for at least a stretch of the game. And I think what he was hinting at was three guards being in the lineup, being able to run, being able to push, being able to play well in transition. But then the other side of it, and this is what Maxey said yesterday as well, is the versatility of this team, not only being able to play fast, but then get in that half-court set, and then you see Joel Embiid at the elbow setting guys up, backdoor cuts. You see Joel Embiid floating out to the perimeter, being able to set a screen like he did in the final preseason game against the Timberwolves to allow that backdoor cut from Kelly Oubre, setting him up for the baseline jam. Things like that are great versatility that not a lot of teams have. If they have the speed, they don't have that type of elbow presence or low post presence with Bona or Embiid. And if they have the low post presence, they certainly don't have the speed. So that's something when you talk about versatility, when Maxey talks about the versatility of this team being such a great strength, I look forward to seeing how Nick Nurse and the rest of this roster really implement that as the season goes on.
Yeah, and that's what it is. I mean, I think that the two main guys that right now that I'm seeing, and one guy that's going to help with the versatility who we haven't seen yet, the two guys that we saw are Adem Bona and Dom Barlow, right? The question mark is for both of them, there's questions. One is, can Adem Bona stay out of foul trouble, right? Dom Barlow, he played great, but he is recognized more as a two-way guy, a guy who fared well in the G League, so can he take that step forward? The third person that's going to help out a little bit is going to be Trendon Watford. What can Trendon Watford bring to the table, right? Because we're talking about a passing big. We haven't yet to see what he could do because of the injuries, but if he can come out and play that way and do the things that the 76ers want him to do, then yes, they can sneak up on a couple people.
Mm-hmm. Right now, you just mentioned Watford, though. Just what's the latest on him? He's running around a little bit of practice. What's going on with him?
They said he was a full participant in practice yesterday. Okay. Well, I shouldn't say full. They say he practiced yesterday.
Okay,
right? Yeah. They said he, the only person who did not practice, yesterday was Jarrett McCain.
Fair enough. All right, when we come back, I want to get into the question that you were asking, because it's not just about versatility. It's not just about speed. It's about a whole bunch of stuff here when it comes to the 76ers and what their identity could be. I know you were asking this question yesterday. We'll get into that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers and the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. Back after this, and make sure, of course, you like and subscribe. Back in a moment. And right now, I'm going to tell you about Built and how fantastic Built is. For instance, when you talk about Built, we're talking about people that don't like, come on, nobody likes paying rent, but if you must pay rent, you might as well get something a little bit more than just the space you're living in. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent with Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride maybe, and so much more with Built, B-I-L-T. But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. I love that with Built, this is what you could do. You can find a rent that finally works for you. How about that? You're earning points every month on something you're already paying for. You got to use Built. Turn your rent into something that helps earn you points and your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com. That's BILT built, joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. And make sure you use the link so they know that we sent you from Locked On 76ers. And right now, I got to tell you about the amazing, the incredible, the very comfortable world of Skims. Yeah, that's right. Maybe TMI, maybe not. But how about this? When I found out Skims was making underwear for men, I was intrigued. They piqued my interest. I've heard so much about their quality from friends, from family, so I had to give them a try. And let me tell you, it is all worth the hype. They live up to the hype, that is. I've always had issues with underwear, fit, comfort, just finding the right style for me. Skims changed all that. Their men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. I've tried Skims, the boxer brief specifically. You're welcome. And I got to tell you, I'm hooked. But I won't buy another brand. Skims is awesome. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com. That's Skims Men's at skims.com. And also let them know that we sent you as well when you mentioned Locked On 76ers at skims.com. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com. I hold no secrets, Keith. I let everybody know. Let's let it out there.
Yeah, I hear you, player. I hear you. My man. My man.
Am I not forthcoming? I am forthcoming. Thank you very
Woo! much. Yeah, you're forthcoming like a mother. My man.
I just
don't want to see a photo shoot.
That'll be on the next episode of Locked On 76ers. Wow, Locked On Sixers just got a whole lot sexier. All right, anyway. Tyrese Maxey. Now, who'd you have yesterday? You had, what was it, Jabari Walker, Tyrese Maxey, Nick Nurse.
Yeah.
Identity. What is, Keith, after your investigative reporting yesterday, asking the questions, what is the identity of this 76ers team?
You know what? That was a great question, man. I wonder who asked that. So, no, I'm sorry. So, you know what? He said, I said, what is the identity? He said, I think we're going to play fast. We're going to play hard. We're going to have fun while doing it and play different ways. Like I said, with the talent that we have and the versatility we can put out there on the court, it'll be nice when we can play in different ways. Try to play hard defensively, pick up the ball, cause havoc, and run. But sometimes we're going to have to slow the game down. We do have Joel. We do have Paul. Those guys are really good in the half court. And we also have VJ, Jared, Quentin, who are all very good in the forecourt. So we'll see. And then I asked him, I said, do you think those different styles will be beneficial? It definitely benefits us. 100% sure. So it's going to be fun. You know what? I think they're going to be fun to watch, right? We got to see how they close out games and all that other stuff, but they're definitely VJ, Edgecombe, and Maxey are going to be fun to watch.
The other question, and I love all that. The other thing that came up also was the thing that sticks out. And this time of year in every sport, when camp starts to wind down, the season's just around the corner. Season for the Sixers starts tomorrow. So 2 days before that, these guys are getting these questions asked. And one of them was kind of like, what stands out to you about this team? And Maxey's response was the competitive nature of the team, which I know that could just be player speak and tell people what you want to hear, but I love hearing that. I want to hear about these guys before training camp officially started, when they're going through that 2-week period of just kind of getting on the same page, that they're not calling fouls. They're being really tough on each other. They're playing tough basketball, hard-nosed basketball. I love hearing that. I love hearing about guys like Maxey going full tilt, guys like VJ Edgecombe coming in there with a little bit of an attitude, a guy like a Dembona, although we want to see him foul less, going in there and being aggressive. Same thing with Andre Drummond. Like, it sounded like these guys were damn near coming to blows at practice because of how competitive they were being run around, just getting to know each other in the 2-week ramp-up period to the season. The other part of it is I want all that to translate to the point where they're competing for each other when they're going through these 82 games together. That, to me, is just it's a welcome sound. It's great to hear conversation about that and players talk about that as opposed to the very bare minimum of just getting healthy.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, and the thing about it is, we talk about them coming in 3 weeks before training camp started. I mean, that's a sign of buy-in. That's a sign of guys becoming, being all of them being on the same page in regards to being frustrated with last season, right? So when you have things like that, it could only go up from there. Now, here's something else that I want to point out when we talk about competitiveness. Now, Jabari Walker on multiple occasions has come out and said that he is extremely enjoying being a part of this team. He feels like there's a brotherhood with this team that he hadn't experienced during his time with the Portland Trail Blazers, right? Now, it's either two things, because in the past, the 76ers culture wasn't exactly good. They had arguably one of the worst cultures in the NBA, maybe even all of pro sports, right? Let's just put that out there. But this guy has been raving over it. And so you either say, well, dang, was it really that bad in Portland? Or are the 76ers really trending in the right direction? And he talks about the friendship that these guys have is not like a business type thing. He talks about how, they'll leave practice, and then next thing you know, they're on the phone later on or in the group chat, they're playing video games. And then he says he wakes up in the morning, he's like, oh man, I can't wait to go in and tell Reese this, or I can't wait to go tell Justin that, or another guy, VJ. So to me, like, yes, it is competitive, but it's great when you have guys who really like each other. I mean, there's been times in the past where they had to have team meetings and talking about, hey, why can't you guys get along? Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
sure.
I love the competitive nature. I love everything else, but it's also, how it is, man. Like when you really like somebody and you have that, you're going to go to bat for them no matter what. You're going to protect that person. You're going to do whatever it has. It becomes, like that's your guy. That's your guy. And you're going to do whatever. And I really like hearing that, man. I do. And I had to point that out.
Worth pointing out, yeah, of course, that's great. But the other thing to add to it was Nick Nurse, when he was talking about I think it was I think the context of it was a difference in last year to this year. One of the things he mentioned was, I got here at 7:00. I got here at 7:00 in the morning. I walk in, there's 2 guys over there watching film. There's 3 guys over here shooting around. There's another guy over there in the weight room. Like, it was, I mean, I know to some people, this might come off of, these are $1 million athletes, they should be there, but when it hasn't, to your point, Keith, been the culture, to see that to start to turn over is a beautiful thing. And I'll even add this to it. To hear of all the acknowledgments of Joel Embiid being very fluid in all of this, acknowledging, I know you got an article on Inquirer.com that touches on this, that acknowledges Joel Embiid, his openness to changing the style of play and allowing the fluidness of this offense and really the entire team to happen in front of him, where he might not be the focal point, but this might be more spread out throughout the team now. That shows a great step forward in his career and getting used to, I think you said, new reality of what his career could be from this point going on.
Exactly. I mean, a new reality, and because let's face it, like it was after three surgeries in 9 years, 2 and 14 months, and like for even before the surgeries, like his knee was bothering him before he injured it 2 seasons ago. You know what I mean? Before he basically messed it up against the Golden State Warriors. That's why people are like, take him out, Nick, take him out, because he was hampered. So my thing is, there comes a point in time where you realize, okay, maybe I can't do the things that I used to do. I'm gonna have to adjust, right? But it takes a player willing to do that, especially when you're a guy and you're a 7-time All-Star, the MVP of 2013, and you're saying, this is still my team. But what you're doing is you're setting teammates up. You're doing all this other things. Now, again, are there going to be certain spurts or certain times in games where it's like, okay, Joel, we need you to be the old Joel. Like, you could do it for like 5 minutes, right, bro? And they're like, yeah, I got you. I'm going to carry y'all. But at the same time, it takes a lot of maturity and selflessness to realize that, you know what, I'm right now, the best thing I can do for this team because of some of the limitations I have at this particular time is to be a facilitator and take a back seat on most nights or some nights to Tyrese Maxey. That says a lot about a guy. And it also says that you really must like him. Now, the one thing that I will say that Nick Nurse did say, and I get it, but listen, having all those guys there in the morning, especially the prime ones, that's a must. You know, and what I mean by that is when you have a Kyle Lowry, who's an all-star, a Paul George, a Joel Embiid, right, and the Tyrese Maxey, an all-star, those are what your best players are supposed to do. They're supposed to outwork everyone. And when they do that, the other players are supposed to follow suit. So to me, what we're seeing here is a team coming together. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to know that when you go to the Lakers, LeBron James is going to be there early in the morning. When you go to, you know, like just name a team that has an all-star player, that player is going to be there early in the morning. And what happens is that forces everyone else to say, you know what, I got to be here. I got to do things. So that's great to hear from Nick Nurse, especially when you got multiple guys doing all that stuff. So that's great to hear.
Can I ask you specifically, was Embiid one of those guys?
I mean, he didn't come out and say who it was. Now, the one thing I will say about Embiid is I will say this about Embiid. You know, in the past, it was only one day that I've seen it where Embiid got out early. And what I mean is after practice. Now, there's some people say Embiid will come early and do things, but there was only one day that this year, since we've been here, that, recently in the last couple of weeks, where you see Embiid shoot a couple foul shots and lead the gym. Even before he was participating in these 101s, he was out there laughing and joking with teammates. He was doing certain things. That's something that I haven't seen out of Embiid in the past. You know what I mean? You would see Embiid and like certain guys is like, he's cool, but he keeps to himself. Like he was laughing and joking and teasing people and say, oh, no, he fouled him. Oh, no, he didn't foul him. So to me, that's the maturation process that Joel Embiid is undergoing that's going to benefit the Sixers. You know, and then when you talk about the guys, now the new guys are talking about them in a way that other guys didn't. And it wasn't because, you know, they didn't like him. It's just that, you know, Embiid was just, he kept to himself. So, you know what I mean? I think that this is a bonus. This is a bonus. And now again, it's the preseason. They didn't go on to a long losing streak. They didn't suffer a 40-point loss, right? You know, when things like that happen, that's when you really learn about the team. But from what I'm seeing right now, it's good. It's good from a chemistry standpoint.
Yeah, everything trending the right direction. We talked about a lot yesterday. Everything trending in the right direction leading up to the season starting tomorrow in Boston against the Celtics. All right, we'll talk about expectations, get some of your comments in here as well as we are live today. He's Keith Pompey. I'm Marc Farzetta. We'll be back right after this, talk more 76ers, including those season expectations on Locked On 76ers. Hi there. Let's talk about Mint Mobile. Still overpaying for wireless? What are you doing? It's time to say yes to saying no at Mint Mobile. That Ryan Reynolds is one clever fella. Their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, and no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Yeah, that's $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contacts as well with Mint Mobile. Love how you get the same quality service you had before, but for a fraction of the price. So, ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch to Mint Mobile. MintMobile.com/LockedOnNBA. That's MintMobile.com/LockedOnNBA. That's MintMobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for the first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 GB, gigabytes for those that need to know. An unlimited plan, taxes, fees, extra. See Mint Mobile for details. MintMobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Didn't have to be as revealing for that one, Keith. So
yeah, I know, Mr. GB. Let them know it's gigabytes.
Let me just mansplain this to the people. Computer splain. Before we get to comments here, I want to save the number because everyone's always talking about the number. Like, how many wins will the Sixers get? Let's save that one specific thing for tomorrow ahead of the season opener. But when it comes to overall expectations, what are they? How do these guys fill in this season? How do they take a step forward? And one thing I will say to kind of piggyback on how we wrapped the previous segment, Joel Embiid, this is also the first year where Joel Embiid, look, I know that Eric Gordon's here. I know that Kyle Lowry's here, but he's the elder statesman here. He's not sharing the spotlight with a James Harden. He's not sharing the spotlight with a Ben Simmons, as an example. He's the guy. He's the franchise guy. He's still here. He looks like a guy that, when healthy, can still play at a high level and play whatever his role is going to be at a very high level. So things are going to look a lot different, not just with speed, but with Joel Embiid potentially not being the focal point of the offense from a scoring perspective. But what do you think the overall expectations for fans? What should they be going into a season like this, Keith?
This is a tough question to answer because, it was one of those things where, like, for the paper, I had to do the same thing. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, really? Because no one knows, right? I mean, I think a lot of the expectations are predicated on, is Joel going to stay healthy? Is he going to trend better? What about Paul George? You know what I mean? What is he going to do? And then when Paul George comes back, was his lackluster performance last year dealing with injuries, or was he cooked? Right? So there's a lot of questions. So to me, I do feel like that in the perfect world, the 76ers, if everyone plays well, I think that they can, make the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. Again, we got to see a lot tomorrow when the Bullets are live, right? I mean, even though it's only one game, but it's a barometer game. But I think maybe they could probably make the playoffs. I don't know how far they can go, because even though the chemistry is great and I like the way the team is trending, I still think that there are certain teams out there that are deeper. There are certain teams that got better than what the Sixers did in the offseason, like as far as upgrades. But so that's why everything is extremely predicated on Joel Embiid and Paul George. And if they can do it, then maybe, they can sneak into the playoffs and hope and pray they get a quality first round matchup. If not, I can see them losing in the first round. But again, it's hard because we haven't even seen all these guys play a single game together in the preseason. Like, no Paul George, no Trendon Watford, no Jared McCain. And we only got one game, 18 minutes of Joel Embiid. So it's hard, man. That's a hard one. What do you think?
My expectations for this team is that they'll be a playoff team. And let me say this, because I know a lot of people go, playoff, they're not a playoff team. To make the playoffs is not a brag anymore. That's not a for the NBA, it's been a long time coming where it's just not been a brag. Like, you look at a team last year like the Bulls, the other team like the Hawks, look at the Heat, talking about 37-win team, 40-win team, 39-win team, the Magic 41 wins, a 500 ball club, the Pistons 44 wins. To make the play, it's not, you got to get 50 wins. That would be, I think, a piping hot take with this team. I'm going to root for 50 wins. I'm not going to bet on 50 wins because I don't think they're going to do it. But I think you could be looking at a team that's around that 500 mark. Again, I'm not going to get to the specific numbers till tomorrow. But I think you're looking at a team that might have the expectation even above just the play-in tournament and actually making the playoffs, the real postseason.
Okay, so I have a question for you, though. Now, are they making the playoffs through the play-in game, or are they finishing with a top 6 seed to make the real playoffs?
I'm going to go they make it out of the play-in tournament to make the playoffs. Okay. So that's the way I'll put it. I do think, and now this is where you also have to go on the likelihood of the availability of Joel Embiid, that they do have a great shot. I will say this, a great shot of just straight up top 5 team, make the playoffs, no play-in tournament, top 6 team, make the playoffs, make the play-in, or don't have to play in the play-in tournament, and you're off and running. But to go back to what everyone's question is still going to be throughout this entire season is whether or not Joel Embiid can stay healthy. Because even if he's not a guy going out there dropping 31, 32 points per game, even if he's not going out there as an MVP candidate like we have seen in the years past, he is still going to be vital to the success of this team, because this isn't going to be every single play transition buckets. This isn't going to be a track meet. It's going to feel like it at times, but I don't think any team in the NBA could survive 4 quarters of just doing that in transition all 48 minutes. So they're going to have to rely on that half-court set. That's where Joel Embiid is going to be vital to the success of this team. And just like anybody who's been following his career, it's not just about the injury he's getting over. It's the unfortunate reality of the trend that is Joel Embiid's career, which is always what's next. All right. He got back from the knee injury. What's next? Does Markel Fultz just appear on the court and his shoulder rams into his face, and all of a sudden Joel Embiid's got to play with the mask again? Does he get gastroenteritis like he had in the playoffs against the Raptors? Like, there are so many things that have. Does he dunk the ball too hard and hurt his hand? Bell's palsy, for crying out loud. What, 2 years ago in the playoffs? It's so tough to watch Joel Embiid's career and what it has been to this point, because it hasn't been reliable. Not all of it's his fault, obviously. Injuries happen. But I think, as anyone, like I said, who has been following this team over Joel Embiid's career, it's not just about the injuries getting over, but the next one. So even if he does go out there, Keith, and he's great for 65 games this season, and he's got 10 assists a game or whatever it might be, I still worry about the end of the season and his health status at that point. But with even just being somewhat optimistic about it, I still think this is a team that will give you more than just the 82 games throughout the regular season.
Okay, we'll see.
That's where I'm at. And I feel like that's pretty optimistic. Thank you very much. Yeah, I know we got hit with a Negadelphian comment the other day. By the way, this entire segment's been brought to you by Mint Mobile. Miss Guzzi. There we go. Let's get into a couple comments real quick here. I want to get some people commenting. I know somebody asked about the potential of Joel Embiid and a Dembona in the lineup tomorrow. Are you still thinking that's the way they go?
I do. Because here's the thing. Let's keep it 100. Like, you want Joel Embiid at least early on to not have to exert as much as possible. Like, I like the fact when they had a Dembona at least jump the opening tip, right? That took some, took something off it, like Joel, a responsibility off of him. You want to bring him along slowly. And then what they did is he did pick up a quick foul, and then he went to the bench. But I like what they're doing. Like, I think that is one of those things where you started Dembona, and then all of a sudden you give him a quick hook, right? And then you bring in Barlow, and then all of a sudden you have a Dem coming in as the backup center. And then you may go to that Twin Towers lineup, later on. But I think at this particular time, I like the fact that a Dem takes the rolling off of Joel Embiid, because Joel wasn't rolling. He takes a lot of the anchoring of the defense off of him. These are things where Joel, let's keep it 100, where he was like tripping and falling and people colliding in his knees and stuff like that. So I think that having a Dem out there with him, is safer for Joel for the time being.
Yeah. Robert Leo likes your haircut. He wants that at the next barbershop.
Bruh, I've been working on this thing for 30 years. Yep, I've been bald for that long. 30
That a guy.
years. 30 years. Nice fade.
Handsome man. Handsome man.
Hey, bro. Nice fade. and it's very inexpensive. Very inexpensive.
There you go. There you go. This one from Eddie. I wanted to get in here. Joel Embiid should study an older Tim Duncan. I like that idea.
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
Here's what I will say. And I don't want to name names because I don't want to get caught up in the comparison, but I will say there have been athletes that when they get to that certain age, they go, all right, let me find my new groove. And then they ride that for, 3-4 more years. Okay, this is the style I can play for another couple years. And that's all I need from Joel Embiid. Find that groove, man. Find that groove. My expectation is they'll win their division. There you go, 3-time. I like it. There we go.
Don't go to Vegas, bro.
His name is Keith Pompey. Make sure you guys are reading on Inquirer.com. My name is Marc Farzetta. We appreciate you guys joining us here for this edition of Locked On 76ers. Make sure you like and subscribe. Locked On 76ers YouTube channel as well. And also wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. For your second listen, go find Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Josh Lloyd hosts the #1 fantasy basketball podcast, giving you daily tips, helping you win your league, and also making you the smarter NBA fan. Find Locked On Fantasy Basketball on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Be back with you guys tomorrow ahead of the season opener. Sixers taking on the Boston Celtics in Beantown. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.